What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Uh, so it's our last session for today. So we're actually supposed to have a guest speaker right now. So our guest speaker from today's earlier session is actually supposed to be here. And he actually told me, I was just actually chatting with him just now, and he told me he would be here. But honestly, I don't see him. So let me just ping him again. Let's see if he's actually going to come like he said he would, or if he's not going to come. So if you guys have any questions that you want to ask, you can ask him. His name's Rocky. He's not in here yet. He's going to be talking about sales. So I'm going to give him a minute or two to actually join the meeting and see if he's actually coming. And if he doesn't come, then we've got several other stuff that we can do that was actually on our agenda. One was email and phone validation in the bot. Another one was payments in the bot, how to collect payments and have your bot do sales for you and collect money for you, which is obviously a great thing. If you guys have any questions that you want to ask, that you want me to answer while we wait for Rocky to get here, you can go ahead and ask those and I can answer those for you. And while I wait for him, I'm just actually going to come in here and create this link for you guys for this day of this training. So let's create this link real quick, just like all the other links. This is day 4, session 5, last session of today. So let me just edit this appropriately for you guys. All we do in this flow is just give you a tag that you attended this session. So we just give you that tag, and then we give you a link to this post right here. So I just need to actually create that post and change this to 5th and go ahead and make that post. And then let me just grab this post real quick. I just want to grab this post ID. I was actually going to do all this while Rocky was talking to us, which is why I didn't do it already. But Rocky's not here to talk to us. I'm really not sure why, especially whenever he confirmed in like less than an hour ago. He confirmed that he was actually going to be here. See? And he didn't show up. So before he was at the ER. So I guess he's not actually going to make it to this session is my assumption, since the session's already started and he's not here. So I'll just finish this up and we can go over other stuff, which is no big deal to me. And no, Alberto, to answer your question, so what you paid for with the $10 is the advanced training. You paid for the actual advanced content in the bot. So if you type what can you do, or if you type it from the menu, you'll see a bunch of different things that the bot can do. If you go through those flows, at the end of the flows, there's a button that says teach me how. If you click that, you'll be delivered the actual video that teaches you exactly how to create that functionality of the bot. So that's what you paid for. If you're looking for the replays, the replays are not $10. The replays you get from this site right here. Right now they're $47, so you just become an action taker, and then you'll get all the replays to the pre-training and the live training. So, and no, you did not get the replays. The replays are not $10. What you got was advanced content in the bot. So, big difference between those. So, like this session right here will end up being a replay, and you won't have access to that. Only action takers have access to that. So this guy's done right here. So now I just need to make that ref tool for this, which is pretty easy. Hopefully you guys are understanding how to do this. Let's just replace that guy with this guy. And we'll save him. Well, if you are an action taker, then you do have access to the replays. So, but we could check that real quick because I'm not sure if you are or not. Actually, buddy, doesn't look like you are. I don't think so. Let's just take a look real quick. That does say you're an action taker. So it does look like you're an action taker because you're tagged right there. So you do have access to all the replays. So you just type in the bot replays and you'll get access to all the replays. So I've already uploaded several of them from earlier today. I've already uploaded those guys from earlier today. So here's this ref link right here. So whenever we're done here, if you just want to go to this post right here, then you can comment on this post as far as how you like the actual session. So since Rocky never came, because I still don't actually see Rocky, and for some reason now he has seen my message, but he hasn't actually responded to it. So honestly, I don't know what the fuck's up with Rocky, especially since he was supposed to be here. So it kind of makes me look like an asshole, but no big deal. I am not an asshole, and I can go in and show you plenty of other stuff. So some of the stuff that we had on the agenda today, email and phone validation, we had payments, we had segmentation, we had auto posting, and we had lead scoring. So lead scoring is really, really relative to what it is that you do and how you want to actually score your leads. There's M. Gasa, so that's actually Rocky right there. So, Rocky, you got your mic, buddy? Don't see any mic on you.
Hey, buddy, can you hear me now?
Yeah. I can hear you fine just now. So, this is Rocky. He's our guest speaker. He's just a few minutes late. No big deal there. So he's a few minutes late. I'm going to just go ahead and turn everything over to him. He's going to be talking to us about sales. And after I turn everything over to him, I'm going to distract you guys a little bit and create the GIFs and the comment growth tool for the post at the end of the session so that whenever you post on it, you'll get some of your free GIFs for commenting. And then after I'm done with that, I'll just stop the screen share. And Rocky, if you want to share your screen or anything, if you got anything like that you want to do, feel free to do that. So I'm going to mute myself and I'm going to just close my camera since I'm much better looking than you, Rocky. So I'm just going to go ahead and close my camera, and I'm just going to hand the session over to you. All right, buddy?
All right. Hey, guys. Hope you're all doing well. If you have any questions, go ahead and type them in here. I think I'll figure this thing out, and I'll try to answer them as they come up. But, sales. At the end of the day, you guys need to move units. You need to get a lot of yeses, right, and a lot of nos. Now, my personal strength is in getting those yeses. And what I found is the big difference between a successful salesman and an unsuccessful salesman is really this one key principle. You don't want to sell the feature, but the benefit of the product. Now, it's really easy to sell the features of this kind of product because it's made up of features, but you really want to ask questions, kind of loaded questions, to your potential consumer or client about what the benefit of this product would be. So essentially, to make that make more sense, you want to ask them, how do you feel about this, right? Don't say, what do you think about it? Say, how do you feel about this? Ask questions like, let's say for this product, you would really just open up with, what did your direct response look like today, this week, this month? How would you rank your interaction from 1 to 10 with your clients? And really, in business, everything is data. All relationships in business are data related. So you really want to keep it there at the beginning and at the end, is really just where your numbers at now. How can we get your numbers to where they want to be? And again, you want to sell the benefit of what the features are doing. So let's say if you were selling a car, you wouldn't want to sell the car and how many cup holders and what size the engine is and whatnot. You want the person to take a ride in it. You want to ask them, man, what is your neighbor going to feel like? What's your brother going to feel like when he sees you in this car, right? You want to ask them about the end result. So if I could say one key thing that's going to make a big difference in your ability to sell your product, it would be really that, is to ask good questions, because the best salesmen don't say facts. They ask questions, loaded questions. And you want to sell on the benefit of the feature here. So, man, sales is a really beautiful thing. I suggest that you guys, with everything in you, take a portion of your time and dedicate it just to learning sales. Because at the end of the day, regardless of how you do it, you have to move units of your product. And there's an efficient way to do that is easy on you and easy on the consumer. And there's a difficult way to do it that's difficult on you, your bottom line, and it's also uncomfortable for the consumer. Just put yourself in other people's shoes, and I think that you'll do great. Really, a lot of people underestimate learning how to do sales. Sales is not a natural thing for anybody, just like being a great singer or being great at anything. It takes hours, AKA skill. You don't want to be a talented person in sales. You want to be a skilled person. And that's just training like anything else. It's breaking down bigger problems into littler problems. It's studying those who've already been where you're trying to be. And I think you guys will do great. And let's see here. I'm looking to see if there's any, where there's a question bot right here, just in case anybody's kicking up any questions. Let's see here. You know what? I haven't quite figured out the chat box here. But if you guys want to jump in on audio or shoot it to John, so maybe he can ask me if you have any questions, you sure can throw them at me. Oh, okay. Yeah, selling the benefit of the feature, I could talk almost an hour about that. But I touched just lightly on asking questions, asking loaded questions. Ask questions, in other words, that you know the answer to and that you can predict your client's answer to, so that you can politely, how do I say, you can say paint them into a corner, or you can say, in other words, serve them efficiently. Because some people really just don't understand they don't understand why when people are buying anything, it's usually based in emotion and backed by logic. They usually can figure out the logic part. You have to help them with the emotional part, which, again, not to be redundant, but has everything to do with the result, the benefit of your product. It's not the 15 things that my product does. It's after I have implemented this product, which does these 15 things, what is the result? And you have to take it a little bit beyond just the numbers. You need to be a little bit more specific and really carry your client into 2 steps beyond where they're at, so that you can help them through the sales process of obtaining your product. You know, a lot of people are, I would say, Some people are difficult to sell to because some people are just buyers and other people aren't buyers. But in the B2B market, everybody's a buyer. And you can sell more of your product than the next guy who has something better if you're able to connect with your consumer on I guess you could say an accumulative level, right? The collective whole of who might be your potential consumers. If you can just jump up your relational skills 10% across the board, that's why I use the word accumulative, you know, that's going to make a huge difference. And the devil's in the details with sales. Being a great salesman is not being a great convincer, okay? It's not being a person who's great at overcoming objections. It's not a person who is great at pressure attacking people. Nobody appreciates that. You want to almost become your client and think through the process with them. Take yourself out of an opposing salesman role, you against the other person, and come alongside them and look at what they're looking at and put your arm around them and be navigating towards that direction instead of coming off as buy my product, buy my product. And the best way to create that relationship is questions. Get the other person talking. Here's a great example. When you go on a date, okay, there's really one of two ways that you can go about it. You can try to sell yourself and talk a lot about the features of you, or you can get the other person speaking, right? Ask really good questions and keep them talking. That allows you to see and understand who that they are, and it allows them to feel heard and let their guard down. And it also gives you the information that you're going to need to pinpoint where you need to go, because people are going to be at different places in the sales process, and you're going to be able to hear that if you get them speaking. So go into a meeting with your client with questions written down on the notepad on the screen, just even as a fallback measure if you have trouble keeping things organic. You want to be short and sweet. When you get to the part in the conversation, when you're speaking toward and asking questions towards the benefit of what this product is going to do for you, not the features of it, but after it's been used, what's the benefit? When you're at that place, you want to camp there a little bit. You want them to feel those feelings as much as you can. That's your fuel. That's your leverage. If I just came up to you and I didn't know you, I didn't know your name, and I just started trying to sell you my product, even if you need it or could use it, you're going to be turned off. You don't feel seen or heard. You know that you're just a number. So you have to reverse engineer and make sure that when you're speaking to your client, they're not just a number, and use their name. Use their name at least 3 times in each conversation, at the beginning, the middle, and before you end the conversation, use their name again. Man, it was a good talk, John. Those things make a big difference. Again, you can learn a lot of this stuff and a lot of other specific stuff on the most appropriate mannerisms, if you will, of sales in tons of sales books. I mean, the list goes on and on. There's little things like don't touch your nose if you're in a video call or if you're across the table from somebody. So don't get overwhelmed with the tiny details, because those are really just shine on the shoes if you're able to get the first part right, which is the relational aspect. You're not going to find a better way to do that than asking questions. Like I said earlier, the types of questions that you're going to ask, man, know who you're speaking to. Do a little bit of research on the person, their company. Their Facebook is a great way to get to know your client. You can tell a lot about a person by their Facebook. And so that it will give you just that little edge, talking about the Buffalo Bills or whatever. can be a lightning jolt in their spine when you're speaking to them because they like the Bills because you took 1 minute to go on their Facebook and look to see who they are, how they speak, what their political views are, et cetera, et cetera. And you want as much ammunition as you can to be relational, not to pick conversation pieces, but just so that you can be on the same wavelength in your own mind. If you can be on the same wavelength, then your client's going to feel that. You don't want to be a fast talking Eddie. You want to be a client you want to be a person that when the client gets off of the phone, that they're thinking, man, that was a great conversation. I really gained in that conversation. I got closer to my goal. I got to speak about my goals. They became more realized. I had a lot of feelings during that conversation. So again, the name of the game is be relational, and we're all trying to learn how to do that. No matter who you are, you want to be better relationally. And sales is a great way. It puts a great pressure on you that will even have residual effects outside of your workplace. The way that I speak to people, it's just with a more authoritative tone of kindness. It's not in a I'm trying to, hey, how are you doing today, sir? But more of a can I get that door for you? And just be a person who gives more than they're asking for. If I can say one last thing about sales is if you want an ironclad strategy to win every time is to guilt your client into buying your product. Give so much overwhelming value that they can't say no, that they're like, oh my goodness, this is worth much more than the dollars that I'm trading for this product. So that's not going to be sold on the features. They can read a Wikipedia page or a description on the features of something and get a pretty good understanding from an outside viewpoint. But you have to bring them in there, put their hands on it. Let them see what it feels like to have this. Let them spend some time almost with your product without having it, so that there's an ownership there. It's almost theirs in a way. And the more time that you can spend with a client with those little details, it's going to make a big difference. Even following up after a conversation. Okay, you have a great conversation, then let's say it's an initial conversation with a new client. I always make sure to contact the person the next day and say, hey, it was great talking to you yesterday. Points of contact. You're touching them, right? You want to touch somebody 8 times, typically, on average, to be able to make a sale. You have to make 8 good impressions consecutively to get a buyer from a potential prospect or from a potential client who's a prospect. So have patience. Don't be quick to get in there and get a sale. Play the long game. Treat your customers like your grandma and do all that little extra work, the extra emails, the extra value. Give more than they're asking for. If they say, hey, I need help with this, send them an email with that and 3 other things that you know that they would be appreciative to have. Hey, John, I thought that you might like this and this. I thought after we spoke, I thought that you could really use this article right here. Oh my gosh, that makes a huge difference in your ability to gain a customer for the long term. And by the way, if you're in sales, which probably everybody here is, you want to gain the lifetime value of a customer. You're not trying to get one-time sales. You're trying to get the lifetime of their subscription. If you set up your strategy from that foundation, you're going to do much better, and you're not going to cut corners with things like pressure tactics, which is going to eliminate your ability to start a long-term relationship. In business, the only things that are, in my opinion, the only relationships that are worth it are long-term. So every hello that you're responding to should be with a responsibility to care for those people. And again, not to be repetitive, but give more than you're asking for so that you become a friend, not just a virtual guy out there, but somebody who's edified them, right? Meaning to build them up. Another great, I hate to call it a sales tactic, but for lack of a better term, compliments, man. Really, people overlook giving an easily consumable compliment. It doesn't have to be grand. It could be, here's one. Hey man, you have a really good phone on the voice. You have a really good voice on the phone. I bet you do great. Little things like that. Let people feel the warm and runnies, like I say, right? So, and again, I hate to call that a sales tactic. It's really just being a kind person, you know, that it's just being a person in general. But if you're looking for that little bit of edge relationally, really put yourself in the consumer's shoes. Speak to yourself. What would make you buy your product? Is it buy this right now or it's coming off the shelf? No. Or would it be taking that extra time, that extra emails, the extra messages? Guys, the ROI on Facebook Messenger is unbelievable. I've probably made more money through Facebook Messenger than most other ways of communication. You know, you build your brand, you try to monetize that once it gets big enough. You want to arbitrage that. That's always the goal. But on the way up there, you have to build that credibility with people, and people are also watching how you're treating others. So everything in life is 0 to 100. Are you doing a level 22 job or a level 35 or a level 60 or a level 77 or a level 88? Everything, it's in the details. Don't let the pressure psych you out. Just be responsible and patient with learning the business of, I hate to call it business, but learning the business of relationship. If you can learn how to be of great value to the people even just around you, the people that are in your home, right? Your neighbors, your friends. If you can start thinking, instead of what can the world do for me, or how can I show the world the gold inside me, say, what can I do for the world? How can I show the world the gold inside itself? Because you can do one of two things. You can spend your time trying to show the world the gold inside you, or you can spend your time showing the world the gold inside it. One of them does neither, and the other one does what I call BOFUM. BOFUM. So I hope that helps. You there, John?
Yeah. I'm here just listening to you, man. I'm kind of wondering. You said a little earlier that some people are buyers, some people aren't buyers. What does that mean?
Yeah. So here's the thing. Sales is a numbers game. Okay. Me personally, I'm collecting no's. I want no's. I don't want yeses. Because if I get a lot of no's, I'm going to get a lot of yeses. Does that make sense? So when I say that not everybody's a buyer, what I mean by that is this. There are people that are what I call buyers who are buyers who are buyers. They only need a little bit of information and a little bit of service to make that decision and go. Other people, and of course there's a spectrum like everything, But then there are people that really hem and haw, that really poke around it, kick the tires, if you will. And you want to spend time with those people. Don't get me wrong. But there's 8 billion people on the earth, and at least 1/8 of them are on Facebook, and a good majority of them would love your product. They would appreciate it. They'd be like, man, this is awesome to have. So you want to go after the low-hanging fruit, is what we call in the marketing world. You want to find the people, you want to qualify your buyer, right? You're not just messaging people in your warm market Facebook friends list, right? You're going to go after people and that you know has the need for your product, and then custom tailor your product to their need. Spend a little bit of time and research on their company and on their Facebook profile and help them see the benefit, not the features of your product, but the benefit of what your product would bring. And once they're interested, then we can start going through all those features. But if you go the feature route before you go the benefit route, then you're just a salesman. Then you're just a guy who, what I call it is, it smells like commission breath, right? So you don't want to smell like commission breath. You want to smell like a friend, right? A servant, somebody that when they think about you, like, man, I'm so stoked that guy messaged me that one day, or that I found his video and I messaged him and I ended up buying his product because it's really done a lot of the benefit that I spoke with this guy about in my life, in my business. So yeah, some people are not buyers. So you want to play the long game, and as people start consuming your product, it's really important to obtain your social proof, right? So that means you want to get people's written quote of what your product has done for them, right? And what your relationship personally has done with them. You don't want them to say, oh, this product is great, it really helped me. You want people to say, man, John is awesome, and his product that he made, way cool. It's awesome. I can't wait to see what else he comes out with in the future. I'm sure I'll probably be a buyer because I bought his first product and it's worth more than the money I spent. Again, lifetime value.
So let's say I'm building chatbots and I'm trying to sell chatbots to people. All right. So let's say I'm either cold calling people, I'm looking people up and cold calling, or I'm just kind of looking at, my local market, companies in my local area that maybe I could physically drive to and visit. What do you think my best sales approach is going to be if I'm trying to engage people that I don't know? Essentially, I'm door knocking or cold calling people that I don't really know, and I'm trying to sell them this unheard of product, which is a chatbot. What would be my sales approach here?
I would say, first of all, for everybody out there, do not underestimate cold calling, okay? I would say make sure that you become great at cold calling, because everything else is going to be easy from there. Now, I'm not saying that cold calling is hard, but there is a process to getting to through the gatekeeper to the decision maker. Now, for me personally, why I have done well in sales is because of my research I've done beforehand. And when I say I don't take no for an answer, that doesn't mean I keep rebuttaling them while we're in the office trying to overcome their objections. That means I overcome the objections before they come. I already know what the objections are going to be. And so I overcome them first. That's the best time to overcoming objections. You're going to find that out in motion. Because you're serious about your business, you're going to call 10, and you're going to call 10 companies. You're going to have a difficult time, and you're going to start reverse engineering and figuring out what it is, why it is that you're having a hard time. Now because you're real about your business, you're going to message 100 people, right? You're going to call 100 people, right? Maybe 1,000, because 1,000 is nothing. I'm just letting you guys know. Making 1,000 calls in about 2 weeks, that's normal for a really good salesman. Now, when you do make that initial contact, you have to get through the gatekeeper. There's a person at the front desk that's paid to make sure your phone call doesn't get to the guy it needs to get to. Now, don't underestimate this person and don't look at them just as an opposition, because they can also be your greatest tool at getting that sale. Now, you win sales not because of your tone of voice and not because you're excellent on the phone, but because you spend a lot of time on the phone. When you spend a lot of time on the phone and you get a lot of opposition, that's going to be a great teacher for you. You need to embrace that, and there's no way around it. That's going to be what teaches you how to do this. When you are at the gatekeeper, you need to keep yourself from sounding salesy, right? You do not want to sound like a telemarketer, okay? So rule number 1, slow down. Slow your tone of voice. Just slow it down. Little specific things. When you first call, don't ask how their day is going. They don't really care. You're not really asking them that question. It's already coming off as salesy, so strike 1. Don't ask them how their day is going. At the very least, say, I hope your day is going well. Number 2, you want to get right to the point. You don't want to hem and haw. You want to say the reason for the call, right? So it sound like this. Ring, ring. Barrow's Pizza is going to say hello, and I'm going to say, hello, is this Barrow's Pizza? They're going to say, why, yes, it is. I'm going to say, great. Is the manager in? Oh, yeah, that's me. Or no, he's not in right now. Okay, great. Well, reason for the call. You need to get right to it, because people do not have time, especially business owners. You got 15 seconds to make them listen. And if you strike out in that first 15 seconds, doesn't matter how good everything else behind it was. So you're going to call them. Let's go through 2 scenarios. You get the gatekeeper on the phone. You're going to say, hey, awesome. Great to have you on the phone. Hey, I have something that I needed to get to your manager. Where can I find his email? Because I seem to have lost it, or I just don't have it. So who do I need to get in contact with? That's, the manager, and what time can I find them? Maybe the person tells you the time that they come in. Maybe they give you the email. If they do give you the time, right away, put it in your phone and put an alarm on it to call them, or else you'll never. Trust me, you won't. If you don't schedule it, you're not going to call them. And it's really important. The fortune is in the follow-up. The fortune is in the follow-up. So let's say they just give you the email and say, oh, here's his email, which is going to be mostly typical. They're going to say, oh, here's their email. When you do send that email, you want to make it short and sweet. And you do not want a long email. You'd be surprised at the people in power that you can actually converse with if you just send them a shorter email. So I have buddies that have sent emails to Mark Cuban and got replies very quickly because they were just boom, 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 bullet points, really fast. Now, one last thing. When you're proposing your product, okay, your solution, keep this in mind. People are much more motivated by the loss of something than the gain of something. If you tell somebody, hey, you can make more money with this, they might hear that a lot. But if you tell them, hey, you're losing money right now, and I have something that's going to keep this X amount of dollars in your pocket to stay. And right now it's just going right out your back door. Okay. So people are more motivated by the loss of something than the gain. hey, listen, guys, because you don't have a chatbot, this is what you're losing. Boom, 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 boom. And you list it all, right? Versus listing the benefits, right? Because when you're talking about the benefits, that needs to be an on the phone conversation where you're conversing, you're starting to become, you're closing in on the sale. And then you can start speaking about, once they know a little bit about your product, about the benefits. You don't want to list the products and the benefits in black and white. Okay. Maybe the features, but again, remember, we're not talking about the features first. You want to just maybe, if you have a subject line, right? Let's say your email is going to sound like this. John, right? Always start the email with their name. Hey, John, this is Rocky. I got your email from so-and-so. Hey, real quick, I have something. Just wanted you to take a look at it. Okay. Now, character break. If you have a video is going to be king. Motion picture is always king. So if you can create or utilize somebody else's promotional video, you're going to want to get your hands on that. And start a conversation with these guys. Put yourself in their shoes and have the conversation with yourself and be really critical. Play hard to get with yourself and see what you don't come up with. I would, if let's say that you're going to email the prospect, send them an email or send them your proposition real quick. Oh, got to plug in the battery there. There we go. List why they need it. Hey, John, got your email from so-and-so. Thought you'd take a look at this. I realize that you're losing money on blank because of blank. Now, I had something I just wanted you to take a look at. Share your thoughts, good, bad, ugly, doesn't matter. And I'll be looking forward to hearing back from you. By the way, you have a great pizza place. We eat there all the time. Okay. Be relational. Okay. Business owners are being called 100 times a day. Be their friend. Okay. So one other thing is the fortune is in the follow-up. So are you going to send one email or are you going to send 100? Are you going to get a MailChimp or an Aweber account and put your prospects on a drip email campaign, which takes all of 15 minutes? If you think that you're not going to have to recontact these guys, I'm letting you know, you'll lose all your money if you don't make a point to be really good at following up. When you're John, people will chase after you. But when you're still creating a name or a brand, you're trying to create brand awareness and people are unaware, you need to stand out, okay? And what's going to stand out is consistent contact. I mean, think about it. If you got one email and you open it up and thought, no thanks, but that person emailed you every week for 52 weeks, you think you'd take them a little bit more serious than some of the other guys? Absolutely. Do you know how much work that it would take to do that? Not much more than you're already spending. In fact, it's going to be a lot less work than to get something warm, red hot, than it is to get something cold, warm, right? One in the hand is worth two in the bush. So again, the fortune is in the follow-up. You need consistency is key. This stuff needs to be like set email reminders for yourself, phone reminders. I don't know how else anybody else that's a salesman who does consistent follow-up, I don't know how else they would do it. If you're not selling a lot of your product, it's because of two things. You're not following up with anybody more than 3 times. Okay, remember how many you need? 8. You need 8 good touches. Not they annoyed me touches. You need 8 good touches. That's why the strategy is always giving value. If you give them something of value, here's a strategy if you want to go this route. And this is something that has been really successful for me. What I would try to do, if there's any way to integrate this, do your service for free for a little bit. Let them see the exact benefit, and then pull it back and say, look what we have, look what we did for you. Here's an example. I will copy and paste, let's say, I used to do this, like window tinting, right? I would take an ad of window tinting, and I would repaste it on other sites. And I would get phone calls, and then I would send them to the other guy. Now, I never talked to the other guy and said, hey, can I join your business? I'd like to market for you and scare up some more business for you. I didn't ask. I just sent him 3 clients. Hey, John, how much for this car? Great. Hey, I'm sending you a person. A couple days later, hey, John, how much for this car? Oh, great. I'm sending you this person. After the 3rd person, they're wondering, who is this guy and why is he sending me business that's making me money? Then on the 4th call, you say, hey, John, man, it's been great. Thanks for helping out my people. You have a great service. And then politely say, now pay me or I'll turn the spigot off. Hard to say no at that point. So, and I said be polite, of course. But that's the idea. I'm trying to get to the brass tacks. If you can give a little bit of your service away to let them see the benefit, then that's an awesome strategy. That's just great. If you can do that and say, hey, listen, here's an introductory email. Well, let's say you've got an email back. You've got a response. Hey, yeah, this is interesting. Or you could even put this on your first email, but maybe rather a follow-up email. Hey, you know what I want to do is I'm going to do this work for you for free. I'm going to implement this for you absolutely free. No strings attached. I just want you to see if it's a right fit for you. It normally costs $300 or $50 a month or this or that or whatever it is. But I'm going to do this for you for free because I want to help your business and I want to earn your business. So these are strategies that have really worked for me, and it comes back to the golden rule. Just treat others how you would want to be treated. Would I rather have a person call me and say, hey, I'd like to, do this and that and the other thing, and I want to do this, or would I rather a person go make me money, and then our first conversation about me buying their product is after they've made me some money? Now I know that that's more of a long game, but you're playing the long game, remember? So, if you start playing the long game now, then if you're treating a lot of people really well all the time, then you're going to have sales every single day. Does that make sense? Because they're all going to fall through. So it's in any way you spin it, it's going to be more profitable for you. The second thing, or the second reason why you're not making sales, is because you haven't considered, let me rephrase that. Because you haven't eaten the glass of talking to 25 different marketing companies. Go call up a marketing company. Trust me, there's millions out there in 2018. There's a big boom right now of social media marketers. If go find yourself 10 and call them and ask them all the same questions. See what answers that you get. See what different answers you get. You're going to learn how to structure your conversation a little bit better. The first 3 or 4 or 5 are just going to be practice anyway, so don't worry about it. Don't worry about how you sound. You don't need to sound smart. Don't fake it till you make it. Don't do any of that stuff. Just get in there and swing the bat at as many balls as you can, and you're going to learn how to position yourself and get that muscle memory so that it's natural and it just flows, and it flows for the client as well. So be patient and don't be bullheaded. And again, 25 marketing companies. John's probably talked to 1 million of them, but get in there and talk to, when I said 10 to start with, okay? Then talk to another 10 and then 5 and see the price points, see what they're going to offer you, kind of accumulate what it is that a marketing company can do for your product and selling it. And then get into a contract and invest. Or you can grassroots this, right? If I really highly suggest that you be the salesman, okay? And learn how to be that marketing guy. But in the meantime, before you can afford that, or as you're affording that, pay for other people that it's already their expertise. Find people that have past results. Easy question. Hey, man, I saw your company. Looks like you do great work. I'm interested in talking to you, but real quick, if I can just ask you a question so I don't waste my time or yours. Do you have any results to speak of? Do you have any other clients that I can contact and ask them about your relationship? So that's, the two things that I'd say that's going to really help you guys that I would consider having to move units of any product. Okay. Be the marketer, be the sales guy, but also delegate things that are not your specialty until they are. Because there's a guy out there in my network. I have personally friends who can take a product and go set up a Shopify and make 5,000 profit the first day. You can find those people. There are companies out there that do results marketing. So you don't pay them until they produce a result. So type in those keywords into Google and just be thorough. Overall, be obsessed or be average. Be obsessed or be average. And sales, if I can just encourage you guys, there's a lot of overflow into the rest of your life of learning what sales can do for you. I believe that everything in life is sales. Everything. So everybody's a salesman, not everybody's a great salesman. And if I may say this last thing, I just want to restate this. Being a great salesman is not being a great convincer or overcomer of objections. You don't be the awkward guy, okay? You don't need to be the pressure guy. The best salesman is going to be the best friend. It's going to be the guy who's giving the most, giving more than the other people around me are giving me. They're spending more time. They're making more of an investment, right? So let's say that there is a company that gets 5 calls from people trying to sell them chatbot stuff or products or a product. That's going to happen. You're competing for those same people because everybody needs a chatbot, every business. So how are you going to stand out from those other 5? Are you going to send more emails? Are you going to be more strategic? Are you going to take more time and be comprehensive in how you're going to serve the client? Are you going to brainstorm and think about ways of how you're going to guilt your prospect into buying your product? You give them so much value. It's like, gosh, he's given me so much more than even that product that's $50 a month. He gave me this article and that, and he showed me this person, and he sent me that video, and all of that great stuff, and he's being a good friend to me. You got to stand out, man. Because that company, that business itself is going to see you being aggressive and being more aggressive than the other people that are trying to sell them the service. And so they're going to think, man, if they're going to be more aggressive for me, then their product is probably more aggressive for me. That's what I would think.
Okay. So anybody got any questions they want to ask Rocky? We got a couple minutes. We got about 6 minutes if anybody wants to ask any questions. I kind of do the same in my sales, Rocky. So there's at my company, I only hire engineers. So we only have engineers. I don't have a marketing guy. I don't have a sales guy. I do all the sales myself. I push right at $500,000 worth of sales revenue every year by myself. I have for the last 2 years just in direct client sales, not to mention our software sales, which I don't include those because I don't really do anything for those. I mean, people just come to a website and they purchase the stuff. So, but the direct sales, I kind of do the same. I kind of do the same way. So whenever I'm talking to a client, One thing I always make sure that I am is I'm punctual. I always
Mhm.
do follow up. So when we have a meeting scheduled, I make sure I don't miss that meeting. I make sure that I'm on time for that meeting. I'm prepared for that meeting. I make sure that I follow up with my client before that meeting to let them know, or my potential client to let them know, hey, we got a meeting scheduled. Are you going to be there?
Oh, by the way, John, my phone went black about 15 minutes before the meeting, and I was scrambling for a computer to jump on here. That's why I was late. I couldn't even tell you that I was going to be late.
No, no problem. Colin wants to know if you've got any sales resources that you recommend, books, sites, podcasts.
Oh, yeah. Grant Cardone is probably revered as the number one salesperson. When you're listening to any salesperson, you're listening for how they think. You're not looking for the secret sauce 1, 2, 3. And don't get me wrong, it's great to find those gems, but you're listening to how they're thinking, because the difference between a rich man and a poor man is how he thinks, right? And what he knows. So I'd say Grant Cardone. I would say, in terms of salespeople, man, there's some bad salespeople out there that are really good at sales but aren't my style. Like,
What about the Ziegler? You like him at all? Zig Ziglar?
dude, Zig Ziglar is the man. Zig Ziglar's great. Let me think. Some other people off the top of my head. Let me fire off. Maybe you guys know he's kind of shot up this year. Ryan Stewman, okay, and the Hardcore Closers. To be a salesman, synonymous with the word closer. You want to be a person who closes the sale. So, I would search the keywords on YouTube. And boy, in terms of other resources, my goodness, sales book. There is a book called how I went from failure to success through selling. I might be butchering that title, but if you type it in, you might find it. It's about a guy who made $1 million selling insurance during the Great Depression. Made it $1 million in a year. So knocking on doors, door to door. So other than that, probably more than a specific person that I can think of off the top of my head. If you type in your keywords on YouTube and do an exhaustive research, I mean, if you're trying to learn how to do sales, type in sales strategy and watch the first 10 pages of YouTube videos and then watch them 4 more times.
And you mentioned earlier, Rocky, about sending out a real short email, right? Starting a conversation with just a very short email, and just using that short email to go in and start that conversation, so that then you can follow up and you can continue your sales. And this is actually a really, really effective approach. And I've got a pair of clients that they've used this. What they do is they sell they sell review automation software. So they sell software for reputation management. So they do reputation management. They run a company called Reputation Loop, and they do reputation management. So basically what they do is they drive online public reviews, and they help you get more 5-star reviews and less bad reviews through their software. My company built the software for them, by the way. And a lot of what they used to do is they used to have VAs that they would outsource, and they would have these VAs basically scrape Google, do keyword searches for a particular keyword. They target specifically dentist. So they would search dentist in a particular area, and then they would get all the Google searches, all the places back, and they would go to each person's website, and they'd have the VAs fill out the contact us form on their website, and they'd have the VAs get the email from the website and send out a really short, simple email like, hey, we've been helping local dentists in your area, and they would insert the area that they search, get more reviews and get more positive reviews and less negative reviews on Google and Yelp and Facebook. Would you like to get more reviews? And that's it. That's the end of their email. And then they would use that as an intro to start the conversation. And we actually built a software, and it's a software that I make available to, I make everybody that attends these sessions, I give them an offer on $500 worth of tier 5 software. It would cost you $500 a month to get the software. I give it to you for literally either $47 or $25 a month, depending on the day that it is. So depending on the day and how good I feel, I make a great offer. And one of those softwares specifically, that's all it does. You type in a keyword, dentist, San Antonio, Texas, and it goes to Google and gets all those businesses, and then it automates this complete process for you. It automates the complete process of finding those websites, submitting their contact us form with your message, and initiating the email, sending the email out to your. I'm not even going to give you the offer link here, trust me. So you can get the offer link inside the bot if you want to. So but it automates this entire process. And these guys, I build it specifically for them, for their internal process. And then in my pricing, I have lots of different pricing for my developers. And one of the pricing structures that I have is if you're not white labeling it, I give you a cheaper price. As obviously, if there's some social proof and I can use you as a reference, I give you a cheaper price. If you don't want to maintain intellectual property and maintain ownership of the full source code, I give you an even cheaper price. So, and their pricing model, I own the actual source code to the application. So it's an app that I make available to you guys. And it really, like, I watch these guys use it and they get 10, 15 clients a week on autopilot. They don't do anything. They just go in and they spend like 30 seconds, run a new search, and then their emails go out, their contact us forms get submitted. And then now they just start getting incoming emails. And then they use another software that I built to automate all the follow-ups as far as phone conversations. So people are going to call you on the phone. They automate that entire process. So got a lot of software that can actually help you with your sales. So I'm not a sales guru, but like I said, I do about $500,000 a year in sales revenue for my company. And
sound like a sales guru to me.
I'm an engineer, man. I do engineering. And the reason that I'm so successful in sales is because I do a lot of the stuff that you were talking about. I build a relationship. I listen. I listen. I ask a lot of questions. My approach is ask loaded questions that I know the answer to, and I already know what you're going to say, which is going to lead me into my next topic. So I ask the question, then I shut the fuck up. I let you answer the question. You answer the question, and I already know. Oh, so did you have some trouble with your previous developer? Well, fucking obviously, right? Obviously, that's why you're trying to hire a new developer, is because your last developer didn't really work out with that guy. So I already know the answer to that. So I just ask you, so did you have some problems with your last developer? Great. Yes, he went MIA, or it took him so long, or he had bad communication skills, or he didn't provide this quality. And that leads me into all of those things that I have, and you can even receive public review test all the things that I have. So
yeah, you have to your potential client needs to understand that you understand their pain points. Just as John said, if they don't get to voice their pain points, that is valuable real estate right there. And if I can say one last thing real quick, it would be going after a specific one business or a specific person. If you put in that introductory email, hey, I talked to, let's say you're trying to contact let's say a real estate firm, okay? Somebody high up at a real estate firm. You would say in your email, hey, I already talked to Joe and I already talked to Schmo. And I'll say this quickly. You want to get 5 contacts in the industry that you want to list 5 contacts in the industry that you're looking to get in contact with a certain person of. So you can say, hey, I talked to these 2 people, they knew each other. And then these 2 people, they knew each other. They both know of your company. And then I talked to this one person. Now, I wish I could explain the comprehensive strategy behind that, but it brings you right to the top of the ladder. It says, oh my goodness, you already talked to Steve and you already talked to Joe. Man, you must be really serious about what you're trying to do. I know Tom and I know Joe. So it's different than, hey, I'm a business trying to sell you something, than, hey, I already talked to this pizza place and I already talked to your other competitor, this pizza place. This is what they said. And then say what you're going to say. 'Cause it shows that you're more invested and that you're not just a robot sending out, a blast email. Little strategy point.
So I dropped you guys in. I dropped you guys in a link for a really good PDF. It's like 70, 80 pages. It's called The Art of Naturally Persuasive Selling. So if you go through and read that document, it's like I said, it's a really good ebook. It will teach you how to get sales without really having to try to use persuasion to effectively to drive sales, so you can sell without being a salesperson. I do it all the time. That's how literally I could go in and show you, and if you want, maybe on a different video, I'll go in and literally show you all the merchant accounts that I use to collect money. And I can show you, I mean, I run a company. I've got 34 people on staff that I employ full time that work for me and do my work. And in order to do that, I got to generate so much money. And on top of that, I don't fucking work for free. I like money. I like to buy stuff like this necklace that I got from an island somewhere. I like to go travel and see the world. That costs money. So I got to get that money from those clients. And in order to do that, I got to sell. And I do right at $500,000 a year with this worth of sales. And it's easy for me because I do it in a very persuasive way. I give my clients my time. I know that they perceive their time to be valuable. So I know that's one of my tactics. I know who cares what we're talking about. Let's talk about your product. Let's talk about what you need. Let's talk about your past successes. Let's talk about your past failures. Let's talk about the Knicks. Let's talk about the weather. I don't really care. You talk about something and you just spend your time talking. I'll spend my time listening or pretending to listen. If we're talking about sports, I'm not really going to listen. I'm just going to pretend to listen. And whenever you stop giving so much information, I'm going to probe you some more about something else and get you talking and keep you talking. Because I know the more time that you spend talking to me, the more valuable I become, because you've already invested something that's more valuable than your money, your time. I do it all the time. All the time. Like the other day, I'm sitting out on the road, and this lady and her husband, they come up to me and they start telling me the story about how they got off the bus in the wrong place and they don't know where they're trying to go and they don't have that much money to get another bus, and they're trying to tell me this story. They're trying to get directions from me, asking me where to go, how to do this. I just stopped a taxi. I gave the taxi some money. I said, you just take these people over there because this is where they need to go. Why did I do that? Not because I wanted to help them, but because my time was much more valuable than the money that I do it all the time. Literally, I pay people to do all sorts of stuff for me that I'm more than capable of doing, because I don't want to spend the time doing it, because that time is really valuable to me, because I only have so much of it before I die. So I know if I can get my client talking to me, spending time with me, it creates value in myself, right? I ask loaded questions to him. I listen to him. I make sure I'm on time when we schedule a meeting. I don't reschedule our first meeting. I come prepared. I try to get as much information. And then I do kind of what you did. I provide as much value as possible. So my clients, what I do with my clients, because all my clients need software development done. So what I do is I give them some documents after our first conversation. I give them some documents that not only are going to facilitate our job and everything that we're going to need to do in the future, I even let them know that, look, you just go over these documents, you fill these documents out to the best of your ability. Even if you don't hire me, no big deal. Don't hire my company, hire another company, no big deal. But I guarantee you, if you fill these documents out, it will help you in that transaction with your next company. It will make that transaction smoother. It will allow that company to quicker give you a quote, a more accurate quote. It will allow you to have your thoughts together. Even that next company is going to ask you for this document. And if you don't have it for them, they're most likely going to charge you some money to go and prepare it. So here's the document. You can go in and prepare it yourself. That's going to save you time. That's going to save you money. It's going to help you whether you hire me, whether you hire somebody else. So I give them that, create that value for them. I don't give my services for free, obviously, because my services cost money, but I create enough value. I listen to them. Whenever they talk, I give them my advice back. I go in, whenever I participate, I go in at what is considered an engaged level of communication. So there's lots of different levels of communication. There's non-communication, there's pretend communication, there's partial communication, there's focused communication, there is interpretive communication, there's interactive communication, and there's engaged communication. So I always go in and I see a lot of people, even, I see it because I am a company. I run a company. I run a company that's listed with Better Business Bureau. It's listed with state government. It's listed with federal government. So that means you can do a Google search, find all my information. You can fucking call me up and say, hey, John, you want to buy this shit? Hey, John, you want to buy that shit? I get people, I'm one of those people, like Rocky said, getting 10, 15, 20 sales calls every day from assholes. And sometimes I entertain them just because I like to see other people's sales tactics, especially when people try to call me and sell me software development services. I listen to those guys all the time because I want to see what their selling points are, because they're calling people looking for my services. So I want to know what their approach is in selling them. And
that's huge.
I see so many people, they call me and they're at partial communication. I mean, you can't sell me something if you're at partial communication. If you're at focused communication, you can't sell me something either. Until you get to engage communication, until you really understand what I'm saying, you understand me, you confirm to me by paraphrasing that you've actually understood me, and then you engage and offer your own insights and your own thoughts and your own ways to solve my solutions. Until then, you're not going to sell me. So that's what I do. I walk in being prepared to have an engaged conversation. I ask questions. I listen. I'm really confident. I tell my clients right off the bat, one of the first things I do is ask them about their budget. I pre-qualify them because I let them know, look, let's not waste each other's time. I don't even do like what you said. Hey, how are you today? How are your kids? I don't do that. Now, if the client wants to ask me some questions, and they say, hey, do you like sports? How about them Knicks? I'll, fuck yeah, I like them. How about them? I'll go, what did you think about their latest game? And then I'm Googling the Knicks game, like looking for highlights of that. And because I don't even watch sports, so I don't know anything. So I'm just telling Google, what's the highlight? So I can mention a couple of them to build that relationship, build that rapport. But I don't ask them any of those stupid questions. If they don't ask me and engage in that, I don't ask them that because I don't want to waste their time. I come in right off the bat shooting guns. Like, hey, I don't want to waste your time. You don't want to waste my time. So let's just jump in. Let's get started. Let's learn a little bit about your project. I'll let them talk a little bit. And then right after I understand their project, first thing I'll do, what's your budget? What type of budget you have? Because if you don't have high enough budget, I'll tell you right off the bat, you can't fucking afford me. If you don't have enough money, you can't afford me. So if you want the best, you're going to have to pay for me. If not, then you know what? I can help you. If you can't afford me, you can pay me a lower rate, and I can help you interview somebody, and I can help you find somebody less skilled than me and cheaper than me that can also do the job, just not as good and not as fast and not as professional as me, because you may not be able to afford me. So let's get that budget thing out of the way. If you can afford me, then we'll continue talking from there. So I don't like to waste time. Anyways, our time's over. It's been over. We kind of ran over by 13 minutes. Rocky, I'm gonna go ahead real quick and put a link to your Facebook page in here in case anybody wants to contact you about anything. I'm just gonna drop a link in here in the comments. I dropped another link which was for I dropped another link earlier. That's Rocky's Facebook. If any of you guys want to contact him about anything, this other link is the link to our free gifts, and it's a link to comment about this session. Just go comment on this session, how you felt about this session, if you got any value from it. Outside of that, that's all I got. There's Rocky's link. Rocky, thanks for coming. It was great to see you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, guys. And John, you're awesome. Good looking dude that you are. And hey, guys, if I can say one last thing, put ads out there that says, I need a chat bot. And get 100 phone calls, like John said, and hear how people are pitching their chatbot so that you can know how to and how not to do it as you go forward. That's great.
So that's a great idea, and you can easily find people that are selling chatbots. If you don't know anybody that are selling chatbots, you just ask me, because I know lots of people that pay me to develop chatbots for them, and I know those guys are selling chatbots. So, so thanks for coming, guys. If you want to talk to Rocky, there's his link down there. Next training session is going to be this coming Saturday. I'll let you know a little bit before that. So, Rocky, I'll talk to you later, man. Rest of you guys.
Hey, buddy.
See you guys.
See you, John.